Welcome to my channel. My name's Ben Betterby and you're amazing. Today we will be working on IELTS mini test, all 4 skills, topic agriculture, lesson Bill Gates becomes a farmer. If you like this content, please consider subscribing. Check out the links in the description below for a worksheet on this material, a link to a podcast that corresponds with this lesson, and information on how you can join one of our weekly group hangouts or study with me one-on-one. Now let's get started. Give yourself a second here, pause the video and read through all the questions and possible answers. I'll start reading the listening in 3, 2, 1. Bill Gates, the 3rd richest person in the world, now owns over 240,000 acres of farmland across the U.S., making him the top private farmland owner in America. For years, Bill Gates has been using his fortune of approximately $121 billion to purchase large swaths of agricultural land across 18 American states, with his largest holdings in Louisiana at 69,071 acres, Arkansas, 47,927 acres, and Nebraska, 20,588 acres. It is not entirely clear how Bill Gates is going to use his farmland, and many are questioning whether any of his land will be set aside for purposes of conservation. There are some indications, however, that the land will be used in a way that benefits humanity, as this is not Mr. Gates's first foray into agriculture. 12 years ago, his foundation awarded over $300 million in grants to smallholder farms in sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia to promote sustainable farming. In addition, his foundation has invested in both the development and proliferation of high-yield dairy cows and super crops that are resistant to climate change. It is therefore safe to assume that much of his land acquisitions will be put to good use due to the fact that so much of his humanitarian work has been put to helping pull families all over the world out of hunger and poverty. Okay, let's go through those questions. Number 1, according to the speaker Bill Gates, A, is the world's richest man. B, has recently become America's largest owner of farmland. And C, is having a midlife crisis. Well, C, I don't remember anything about that, so I'm going to immediately cross out C. That's not going to work. Okay. Let's look at A. A is the world's richest man. I don't really remember the specifics on that. They did mention something about him being very rich. Or I guess I mentioned it because I wrote it. Let me look here. Has recently become America's largest owner of farmland. I definitely remember him being a large owner of farmland. So if I was unsure, I would just flip a coin here on A and B. But I do remember that the article is not really about him being a very wealthy person. So if I had to guess, I would guess B. So let's look at the answer and see what we get. Making him the top private farmland owner in America. Okay, so they're being a little sneaky there by changing the words. Let's look at number 2. How many states in America has Bill Gates bought land in? 3 states, 18 states, all 50 states. Once again, I really do not remember them mentioning all 50 states. So I would go through and say, well, it cannot be C. Now I'm left with A or B. 3 states or 18 states. I remember them mentioning 3 states and giving specific numbers. But if I think about it, I remember that those 3 states were actually mentioned because they were the top 3, meaning that it would be more than 3 if they're the top 3. So I'm going to go with B, 18 states. Let's check and see. Purchase large swaths of agricultural land across 18 American states. All right, good job, Ben Betterby. Let's look at number 3. How is Bill Gates going to use his farmland? Okay, nobody is really sure. To grow food to give to the poor, sell it for a large profit in a few years. Okay, well, once again, not about him being the richest person. So I don't think it's C, so we can get rid of that. To grow food to give to the poor. Okay, could be that. Nobody is really sure. Now, my gut instinct is telling me it's probably not A, but I don't remember them saying to give food to the poor. So if I had to guess, I probably would be 50-50 here. If I went with my gut, I would be 50-50. But because I wrote this and I remember saying it and I know the answer, I'm going to go with nobody is really sure. Hey, it is not entirely clear how Bill Gates is going to use his farmland. Okay. Way to go, me. Number 4, aside from buying farmland, Bill Gates has also used his money to A, develop sustainable agriculture in South Asia, build large fleets of robotic workers. Well, I know that they didn't talk about robotic workers there, so I can get rid of that. Increase the number of young people who go into farming. Well, that could be it. Young people, but I don't really remember them mentioning young people or youth. But if I had to guess, it would be between A and C, but I'm pretty sure it's developed sustainable agriculture in South Asia. So I'm going to go with that. Let's see how we did. Grants to smallholder farms in sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia to promote sustainable farming. All right, so I got all those right, which I should have because not only did I write all the questions and answers in the tape script, I also read it just a second ago. All right, let's go on. That's the end of the mini test for listening. Let's go on to the next section. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the reading, broken up into a few different passages. I think 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, broken up into 4 different passages. Now, we'll do this on the first one. I'll explain this, but you should do this on all the other passages. First, we need to what's called skim. And that's where we just get a general idea of what this is about. So let me go through here. Okay. All right. This reading passage is about living off the grid, it looks like, a way for people to live. Just very quickly went through there. And this particular paragraph is about maybe where people are going to live. Don't really worry too much about what you're going to do here. After skim, you scan. That's where you look for keywords. Scanning is very important. I'll go through here and find a few keywords in a second after I give you time to read. After that, we're going to skim the question and see if we can find any, skim and scan the question, see if we can find any matching keywords. That's basically it. So I'm going to give you time to pause it and read, try to find some keywords in the passage and the question. And I'll see you in a few seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I went through there. That's hopefully the question will relate to some of those keywords. It'll help me answer these questions faster. Let's go through the question. Complete the note with one word only from the passage. So this is kind of like a table question. I guess I'm supposed to pretend that I'm a student taking notes on this reading section. Okay, live off the grid. Let me highlight note. Live in the blank as opposed to in cities. Okay, so opposed to and cities. Opposed to is the opposite or against something. That's not a very good explanation of that. So opposed to is kind of where you have 2 different things and you choose one over the other. So I like to eat bananas as opposed to strawberries, which I hate to eat. Okay, so live off the grid, live in the blank. Off the grid. Okay, let's living off the grid. Now I'm going through the paragraph and see how well I can match this. Live in the blank as opposed to in cities. Okay, living in the countryside matches up. Let me double check. So people who live off the grid live in the countryside. All right. This lifestyle choice. Okay, great. So the correct answer, and it is the correct answer because I wrote this, is live in the countryside. And it says here, this is very important for you to pay attention to, one word only. So what I would do, just to make my life a little easier here, I'm going to cheat, not type it. All right, so live in the countryside as opposed to in cities. And that is the correct answer. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, so, and we're back. What I'm going to do here is very quickly highlight the keywords, but not really talk about it to save you some time. And then we will go through and see if we can quickly answer the question using those keywords. Okay, went through and read and highlighted the keywords. You can check those to see if they match with yours. Now I'm going to look at the question. Let's see, complete the note below with one word only from the passage. People moving to cities is causing blank in the countryside. All right. Okay, people moving to the cities. Okay, is causing blank in the countryside. Lower population densities up here outside of cities. People moving to cities is causing rural depopulation. So the answer there is going to be depopulation. So I'll just copy that and insert it. Okay. So hopefully you got that right, and the techniques that we talked about earlier helped you do that. And we're going to do exactly the same thing for 2 more passages. 3, 2, 1. Okay, there you go. You can check your keywords against mine, and let's look at the question. Okay. One word only, very important. The note, okay. Classes now allow children in the countryside to receive a proper education. This one's super easy because it matches exactly with one of my keywords. So I just copy and paste. There we go. And that's the answer. Let's go on to the next one. Same as before, skim, scan, and underline keywords in both the passage and the question. 3, 2, 1. Okay, now we're back. Let's go through the question. Small blank of people living off the grid. It's definitely something we'd underline. Formed. Can be formed. Each family spent 1 skill. Okay, let's go look at 1 skill. Okay, families can pick 1 skill to focus on. I was able to find that because of the underlined keyword. Small blanks. Okay, so that's another, up here I've got small communities work together. So that would be small communities of people living off the grid. Okay, I double checked it, so feel confident in that. And I'll write my answer there. And that is correct. Okay, there we go. Let's go on to the next section. All right, let's move on to the writing for this topic. Even though there have been recent advancements in agricultural technology, many people around the world do not have enough food to eat. Why is this happening? What can be done to solve this problem? First thing we need to realize is that this is a 2-part question. We've got one question here, what can be done to solve this problem? And another question here, which is asking, why is this happening? Now, 2-part questions can be, in my opinion, the easiest to answer because you don't have to think too much. Each of your body paragraphs will just answer one of the questions. But we do need to pay special attention to the statement that they give us and make sure that we use the keywords and understand what they're really asking. Even though there have been recent advances, okay, I think recent advances, even though in agricultural technology, it's very important. So we need to make sure that we talk about agricultural technology in our essay. Many people around the world do not have enough food to eat. So not have enough food. Many people. Why is this happening? Okay, that's pretty simple. Keyword there, why. And what can be done to solve this problem? Solve this problem. All right, simple outline here. I like to brainstorm while I outline. Some people think it's better to brainstorm and then outline, but I think if you do them together, you save time. So let's take a look. We have an intro that will paraphrase and the statement they give us. And then for the two-part question, it's really simple. You just give an outline of what your essay, call this an outline statement, that will tell the reader what they're about to read. So for this one, we would just need to say that the first paragraph is going to be about why, and the second paragraph is going to be about a solution. Okay. Let's look at the next one, be body paragraph 1. And body paragraph 1 is going to follow a very simple structure. We just answer the question, answer question 1 directly. Don't even think about it. And then we explain/discuss. Another explain/discuss, if we can get it in there. That will help us out with the word count. The minimum that they give us is 250, but we should shoot for around 270 to 280. And finally, we can give an example. And this essay's type, the two-part question, super simple because you can do the exact same thing for the second body paragraph. Okay. All right. And then we have a simple conclusion, which is just going to summarize our points. Okay. Now, I think it's best to write the introduction first. And the reason for this is that it kind of warms up your brain. So let's just get started. The introduction we need to paraphrase. So even though there have been recent advances in agricultural technology, many people around the world do not have enough food to eat. Okay. All right. So recent advances, we could use the phrase modern times. All right. Even though, although is something that we could use there. Let's see. Agricultural technology. Okay. We could say the agriculture industry okay. My light just fell down. Okay, where were we? The agricultural industry. Then we've also got many people around the world. People's hard. Okay, that's tricky with many people. People's hard to replace. So do not have enough food to eat. We can reverse that. So another way of saying not have enough food to eat would be maybe starve. And still people. Okay. All right. Let's see if we can move this around. So instead of even though, although the agricultural industry has seen, let's see, several technological advancements in modern times, there are still people who face the threat of starvation is the noun for that. To starve is the verb. All right, let's go back through this, see if we can clean that up. Although the agricultural industry has seen several technological advancements in modern times, there are still people around the world, so we need to get that in there. And a really simple one for that is across the globe, who face the threat of starvation. All right, next is the outline statement. So we can maybe put a little check there. I don't know how to do a check. Hold on one second while I get a check. Hey, got a little check. Let's make that green. Ugh, let's not make that green. Let's make it red. Okay. All right. So outline statement, super easy here. This essay will first. All right. Now we need to answer the first question. So why is this happening? So why do we think this is happening? All right. So I think this is happening because of economic inequality. And let's look at the next question. This should be question 2. What can be done to solve this problem? I think taxing food purchases in developed nations. All right. So these are the 2 things I need to hit on, and I need to do that up here in my outline statement. So this, we can actually be specific here, or we can be general. I'll do general first. If we need to, we can go back and make it more specific. So I say we'll first look at why this is occurring instead of happening, and then we'll discuss spelling, and then and I forgot the word at. This says it will first look at why this is occurring, and then we'll discuss what can be done. So they didn't ask for multiple solutions. Discuss one solution to this problem. And that's a little too close to the question. So one solution to the problem of world hunger is what that is known as. All right. Let's go on to the next paragraph. Oh, I get to do another check mark here. Okay. And we just answer the question directly. The main reason, we just need to give one for this one, for the existence of world hunger is economic inequality. All right. So directly answer it. Now we could, if you're doing the computer-based test, which everyone should be doing, unless you have a problem with typing, in which case you should probably learn to type. We can go through and directly answer our second question just to make sure that we're on track with this essay. But I'm not too worried about getting lost. The main reason for the existence of world hunger is economic inequality. And now we need to talk about, explain or discuss what we mean there. It's not actually directly, it's not actually easily seen what I'm talking about, so I need to explain what I mean. All right, so every year, enough food is grown on Earth to make sure that each human being has food. And so enough, we need to come up with a different word because they use that in the question. Sufficient. Okay, they did it for us. Sufficient food, period. And we could be a little fancy and add the word resources if we want. Sufficient food resources to make sure each human being has sufficient food resources. And put that there. To make sure that each human being has sufficient food resources. Okay, but we connected. We're kind of explaining it. This one's a little bit more difficult to explain, so we will need 2 sentences. All right, so there's enough food to be grown, but why are people starving on the planet? Okay, so we need to think about that. However, so even though there's enough food being grown, it's not getting to everybody. However, because of the fact that individuals in developed, or we can say rich countries, can afford to pay more for certain types of food than people in poorer countries. Not everyone is able to purchase enough food to eat. Okay. All right, so I've kind of explained that the reason for world hunger is economic inequality with these two sentences. And at this point, I should give an example of what I mean. For example, this is an easy way to do that. The amount of grain that is used to feed livestock, which is animals, that are then turned into meat. The amount of grain that is used to feed livestock that are then turned into meat could feed more people. Okay. So if it were not being used to produce meat. Okay, used to feed livestock. And let's see, take that away. For example, the amount of grain that is used to feed livestock, all right, know that, could feed more people if it were not being used to produce meat. Okay, I would like to be used there again. Be used to feed more people if it were not being used to produce meat. All right, I think that very clearly makes my point. All right, let's look at the next paragraph, which is where we need to directly answer the question, taxing food purchases in developed nations. Okay, so solve this problem. Okay, so in order to solve the problem of world hunger, let's see, developed countries, all right, should tax food purchases. And this is a good opportunity for one of those academic IELTS words, implement. You all right, buddy? My dog is walking around the room. Should implement taxes on food purchases. Okay. And then redistribute these funds to less developed countries. Although I don't want to use it twice. We can just use nations. There we go. All right. And that's an adjective, so we need to add a hyphen. Okay. Then redistribute these funds to less developed nations. Explain/discuss. All right, so why do they need to implement these taxes? This solves we just use solves the problem. Okay, so we can say addresses plural there, addresses the fact that global price competition for food, let's see, prices out those who are less fortunate. However, people in rich, we can just say rich people, and we can say that a little bit fancier, more well off people, let's see, more well-off people are not going to stop buying food that takes resources away from less wealthy individuals. By instituting a tax, we should maybe say small tax on each food purchase, those that are able to afford more expensive and resource, what's the word? More expensive and resource intense foods will be offsetting, it's a good word here, offsetting oh, forgot that hyphen again. Are you all right, buddy? My dog is barking now. More expensive and resource intense foods will be offsetting the potential for for some people not having, or we could say some people risking starvation. I don't think we used that before. Let's see. Threat. Okay, so risking starvation. All right, looks pretty good in terms of the word count here. Now we just need to go on to the conclusion, which is just a summary. And we could even start with in conclusion. In conclusion. And this is where we really need to make sure that we've addressed the question. So in conclusion, although the agricultural industry has seen several technological advancements in modern times, there are still people across the globe who face the threat of starvation. All right, in conclusion, not everyone on the planet has enough food to eat because of economic inequality. However, developed nations can address this troubling issue through small, we already used small, so ooh, another academic word here, minuscule taxes on all food purchases. Here we go. Did I spell that right? I spelled it wrong. Okay. Minuscule taxes on all food purchases. In conclusion, not everyone on the planet has enough food to eat because of economic inequality. However, developed nations can address this troubling issue through minuscule taxes on all food purchases. Okay, through redistribution of funds that are raised through minuscule taxes on all food purchases. All right, and then in this way, the world can work together to end world hunger. All right, let's check our word count. We're at 283. Looks pretty good. Okay. Now, I would go through this and spend some extra time to double check it and see if I could add in some bigger words, but we don't really have time to do that today. I would also make sure that I read it out loud to myself, just using my lips so I could catch any grammar mistakes that might be in there. But overall, this is definitely addressing the issue. I have a slight concern that I didn't really mention recent advances in agricultural technology. So let's quickly go in there and add that. The main reason for the existence of world hunger in spite of the fact that technological advancements have allowed food production to increase in the modern era, is economic inequality. I feel like that now I've addressed every issue in there. I've answered both questions. I've introduced the topic and told the reader what I would be saying. And I've got a conclusion that summarizes everything. So I feel pretty confident in this essay. All right. Thank you very much. Let's move on to the next section, which will be speaking. Is farming still an important part of human society? Oh, that's a great question. Very much so. Although many people may not realize it, agriculture still plays a crucial role in modern society. In fact, the reason that the world is able to support a human population of over 8 billion is because of advancements in the agricultural industry. Additionally, the agricultural industry still has a ways to go in terms of protecting the environment, as this industry continues to be responsible for large amounts of pollution, both on land and in the sea. What should humanity do to make sure that all people have enough food to eat? Look at that. Another great question. Across the globe, large sections of land are currently being used for agricultural purposes, such as the rearing of livestock and the production of crops. Sadly, however, much of this food goes to waste, as the main reason for this is, and the main reason for this is economic inequality. Although enough food is being produced to feed everyone on the planet, because people living in developed countries can afford to spend more on food than people in less developed countries, poor people are unable to compete financially for food. If you are a farmer in a poor country and you have a choice between selling your crops internationally or locally at a much lower price, you have no choice but to export your crops. One way to handle this situation is to raise tariffs on food imports in well-developed countries and use the income generated from these taxes to subsidize food exports to less developed nations. In this way, people from more affluent regions can still enjoy foreign products, while people in poorer parts of the world will not starve to death. Ugh. Do you think future generations will be interested in farming? I never really thought about that, but I find it hard to believe that the long-running trend of fewer and fewer young people going into farming each generation will cease anytime soon. However, I do believe that those that do go into this industry will grow increasingly adept at utilizing advancements in agricultural technology. Therefore, although there will be fewer people working to grow food around the world, their individual productivity will increase to such a degree that overall food production will continue to increase year after year. Or perhaps I should say year over year, because that is what is in the script. Great job. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Ben Betterby, and you're amazing. If you liked this content, please remember to subscribe. Check out the links below for a worksheet on this material, a podcast on this topic, and information on how you can study with me one-on-one or join one of our weekly group hangouts. Have a wonderful week.